did.
Get you in trouble.
Yeah, I did.
Hold up and wait till right.
Need some help? That thing's heavy. It's heavy.
You think I could do it?
Yeah.
All right. It's all yours, Coach.
All right. Well, appreciate everybody being here. We're excited to be back. This is a blast, man. This is so much fun. I was telling our guys this morning. I mean, just how much fun it is to be a part of championship football. I don't care if it's the 95-pound Pee Wee League or it's your middle school team. I mean, I asked everybody, how many of y'all won a state championship? And, you know, some guys raise their hands and others. And it's just when you know that you're getting ready to go play a game and there's this finality to it, like you've got 14 teams that have been battling all year for the privilege to play in this game. It's special. And I know we've been here several times now. But let me just tell you, it is such a blessing. I mean, we're just grateful to have the opportunity. It is a privilege to be here, and just so proud of our team and our staff for all the hard work that's been put in to get back to this point. And you know, we're super excited to represent the Atlantic, and you know, in a great venue, Charlotte, just doing an amazing job up here. Got a chance to walk out on the field. The field looks great. I know it's going to be an awesome crowd, and then you know, good to see Bronco. I mean, he's as good as it gets. And I did not know him at all prior to him joining the league, and but just being around him and being in meetings with him, very easy to see you know, why he and his team is here. He's just done a fantastic job, you know, building a culture the right way, building a team based on belief and effort. And obviously just well coached, but just having a group of guys that have a special will to win. And so, you know, they're a champion as well, representing the Coastal. So going to be 2 champions on the field tomorrow night, and there's going to be 1 team hold up the trophy, and that's what it's all about. So just really, for us, again, just honored to be here, and this is a culmination of a lot of work. There's not many games. If you're playing this on this particular weekend, that means you've had a really special season, and that's certainly the case for us. And so our guys are traveling up here now. We'll have a little walk through here in a little bit and kind of get on with our Friday routine, and you know, look forward to a great day here in Charlotte tomorrow night.
Hey, questions, please raise your hand. Let's get the 2 handheld mics to you. Who has the first question? To our right, Coach.
Pete Iacobelli, Associated Press. Dabo, are there any kind of last-minute injuries, anybody left off the roster, anything like that coming in?
No, unless something happened since I left this morning. No, everything's good. And we get to travel more. I appreciate that. I'm not sure how that all – I know it's something we lobbied for a while, but we get to travel 85 for this game, which I think is great. It's great to be able to bring – extra guys for both teams to be able to get this experience. So we'll have 85 coming up, and be a great memorable experience for both teams.
Front row.
David Teal with the Daily Press in Newport News, Virginia. Dabo, Bronco made the remark earlier that his team is ranked 11th in the league in pass defense, and he said you might as well put next to it because we don't have Bryce Hall anymore. In watching Virginia on tape this year, what impact have you seen that Bryce Hall's absence has made?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just consistency. You know, they've had to be creative. They've had to move some people around, and you know, they still getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback though. They've got 43 sacks, I believe, to our 35. So they've done a good job, but they've just had different people had to wear different hats, and they've taken 11 and 14. They've had to ask them to cover and do some different things. So I think they've done an awesome job. I mean, you know, they're one of the best third down teams in the country, and they have given up some things in the passing game, but I think it's been just some adjustments that they've had to make. But they get off the field. They bend a little bit, but they don't break a lot. And so they've given up some yards, but they've done a great job on third down, and they've done a great job on third down offensively. So they stay on the field and they get off the field. And then, when you look at them, 12 games, they've only had two teams have over 400 yards on them. And they've had one team rush for 200. There's strengths and weaknesses and some things that have happened, but they've still been very good defensively.
Second row to our right.
Hey, Dabo Serene, Chris Heidel from Herbertson
All right.
Radio in Baltimore. Let's talk about you're 2 wins away from tying what Florida State established back in 2014, 27 overall wins. What does that mean for you if you tie that and cause what Florida State established back then?
Well, I'd like to break it because that means we'd be 30 in a row, and that's probably what it's going to take for us to achieve the ultimate goal, I guess. But I mean, it's just to be where we are right now, I don't really even think about it, to be honest with you. It's just a blur. I mean, you just get so busy, working and just on to the next game and starting over every week, and it's hard for me to even think back 27 games. We just have a process we believe in, and our guys, they are in our culture. I think helps cultivate and nurture that mindset of, man, it's just being excited to have a chance to go win again. And not getting bored. It's every week is the biggest game of the year for us, and that's really a mindset that we have, and it's just kind of a function of how we go about our business, I believe. So I mean, it's been an incredible run. There's no doubt about it. To win. What is tomorrow? What is tomorrow? Be 28. So if we could win 28, then we'd get. I think we're going to get the opportunity to play on December 28th. 28 would be the one that I'm focused on, not 29. You can't win 29 till you win 28, and so that's all we're worried about right now. But it's been a special run, and so much consistency and hard work put in by a lot of people.
To our left against the wall.
Matt Dowell, Watch Fox TV. Dabo, Bronco was telling us what goes through his mind when he was walking back out there at Bank of America Stadium. I'm just wondering what goes through your mind when you get to go back out there.
As I said earlier, just joy. I'm happy, just thankful to be able to be here. I'm excited to be able to walk out on the field and know that we're in this thing. To get to see the commissioner in the breezeway, because that means that we're here. So it's just a great moment. It really is. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. There's just nothing better in championship football, and to know that somebody is going to be the ACC champion tomorrow night, and it's down to 2 teams, and we're one of them.
Front row.
David Hood, TigerNet. Trevor mentioned this week that the 80 freshmen and sophomores, and then he said that he thinks that has actually enabled this team to be more focused, because these are kids who are taking this ride, some of them really for the first time, and that it's been able to help them keep that focus. Do you see that, and has that helped this team with all the youth?
I think so. I mean, it's been last year's team is the polar opposite. Incredible experience, the most veteran team I've ever coached, most seniors I've ever had. And we literally could have spotted the ball in spring practice of that year and played. Anybody. I mean, we were just that far along, that experienced. But there's a challenge to coach that type of team too. This team has been so much fun because we have this incredible leadership. A really strong group of seniors, not a big class of seniors, but a really strong group of seniors and juniors. And then a few really strong sophomores like a Trevor, Justin Ross, and some of those guys. But then you throw in the fact that you got a little over 40 guys that were not even on the roster last year. I think like every day is a new day to them. And then you have, right at 80 freshmen and sophomores, so redshirt guys, so forth. There's just been this blend of leadership and experience and really good understanding of what it takes, blended with a great energy and youthfulness. And so bringing that together and creating, and that was why the big challenge to me coming in, and what I challenged our team was, I knew we were going to be talented. I knew they would put the work in, but could we develop the chemistry? To me, that's one of the most underrated things on any team, and it's just come together beautifully. This is a super fun team, and So I definitely think the youth has brought a lot of energy to those older guys. It's been pretty cool to see that.
Front row.
Dabo, I think Trevor had mentioned a little earlier that maybe some of his early season ups and downs were a product of him perhaps pressing a little bit in the wake of all the attention that he got following last year's championship. Is that something that you saw, or how would you kind of analyze how he handled the aftermath of a championship and how he's kind of blossomed as the season has progressed again this year?
He's been great. I mean, he really had. Just telling the TV folks a minute ago. I mean, it was all sugar for him last year. I mean, he just hardly made a mistake. He won every game by 21 plus points or whatever, even all the way through the national championship game. And so I'd never been in a fourth quarter with him until we've won about 20 in a row or whatever it was. And all of a sudden you're playing North Carolina and they're playing well. You haven't had as great a day. You've turned it over. So it was kind of good for me to see him in the fourth quarter have to make a meaningful pass to win a game and to see how he responded. And really, that's the only game. I mean, he played great. He's played great all year. Even the games that he was portrayed as playing terrible, he just made a couple bad plays. But he made a lot of good ones. But he made, I think early on, sometimes you can be too confident and sometimes you can be too knowledgeable to where you can take a few of the little things for granted. And I think he just was trying to do too much and trying to make every play. And I think he just kind of settled in, and because he got burned. It's like you tell your kids that stove's hot. Sometimes they touch it anyway. So, but when they get burned, they usually learn. They don't usually go back and go, "That was great, man, do it again." I got my dog. Y'all got them dog fences, all I got to do is hold up that little flag, because he don't like that electric fence or whatever it goes around the yard. And so I just think that you have to experience things, and so he made a few bad plays. And the other thing is he hadn't had any criticism. It had been all sugar since he got here. Now all of a sudden he's on a loop on ESPN. He just played great and completed 65%, threw 3 touchdown passes, but Lord help, he threw a dumb interception. And so that's what gets talked about. And so in that role, that comes with the territory. And so him having to deal with that, I think it's been one of the best things for him. And because of how he's responded and just, learning that it doesn't matter either way, and to really, have that balance at that position and understand what comes with it. I think it's been great for his growth. And he's so much better as a quarterback this year than he was last year. It's not even really even close. And I think that a lot of people have missed a beautiful season from this guy. He's amazing. He really is. I'm super proud of him, and what he's done with his legs has been special. That's probably the biggest improvement that he's made. So he's a winner, and he's become a great leader for us. We needed that from him, and he's really become a great leader on both sides of the ball.
Front row.
Doug Dowdy with the Roanoke Times in Virginia. Is there a quarterback that you've prepared for or coached in recent years that you would compare to Perkins?
We've seen a lot of really good athletic quarterbacks. I hate to throw Lamar up there. I think Lamar probably throws the ball a little bit better, but I think they both create. And they can run. This guy can run the football. He can throw the ball too. I think Lamar's a first-round draft pick type thrower. So there's a little difference there, but I think just his will to win that you saw with Lamar. I think his creativity, what he means to his team. How inspirational he is to his team. His toughness when he runs. He's a handful. I don't want to really compare him to anybody, but I think he's his own guy, and he's a super player, and has obviously been a huge factor in them getting here.
Scott Fowler from the Charlotte Observer. Have played so many games here at this point. I know every stadium has idiosyncrasies. What are some of them at Bank of America Stadium, either on the field or locker rooms or whatever?
Pro locker room. It's a nice locker room that we get to be in, and it's always been a great crowd every time we've been here. It's been great for us because obviously, this is geographically a good spot for the ACC, but also great for Clemson when we've been here and our fan base. We have a lot of fans up here in North Carolina, and certainly not a far drive from South Carolina. So, but as far as just the stadium itself, I really nothing that just jumps out at me. They got a new field this year. Last year, the field was a challenge, and it rained the whole time. But looks great, man. It's a beautiful stadium. It's beautiful. Probably coming in on this day every time. I always come in and we come to that parking lot and get to see all the pro players' cars. It's always kind of interesting to see what cars these guys are driving, trucks or whatever. That's it. Just a pro stadium. I think it's unique that way.
Other questions? Front row?
Bronco talked a little bit about what he wanted to build at Virginia, starting with a sustainable model that he could continue to win, not just win here and there. This is obviously your fourth different Coastal team played in this game in 4 years. It's the seventh overall Coastal team in 7 years. There has not been as much consistency around the rest of the league. What have you done with Clemson, or what have been your priorities to allow your program to be not just good but sustainably good over time?
Just keep the main thing the main thing. I know who we are. I know what my purpose as a man is, and I know what the purpose of our program is, and just stay focused on that and be program driven, not team driven. And I think sometimes we make decisions on what's best for this particular team, but it's not what's best for the program, and I think that's not good. And from day one, I've always been program driven. And I think Bronco's the same way. And when that's your focus, sometimes you got to make some tough decisions, or you're going to have some challenges along the way. But you'll be better for it in the long run, as opposed to looking for shortcuts, quick fixes, things like that. So we have a philosophy that we believe in, and again, we just keep the main thing the main thing. And I focus on the relationships and the culture of everything that we do, and always trying to get better, always learning, always growing, always starting over. We don't carry anything over. We start over every single year, and so that's where it starts for us. And then it's the people, So obviously, who's coming in the door, who are you recruiting, who's on your staff, what's the discipline, what's the accountability, how do you respond to problems? Because everybody has problems from time. But it's how you respond that separates you. It's not whether you have a problem or not. It's how you respond. So those are probably the main things for us, and then really nurturing and developing leadership. I think that's a critical factor in sustaining success. So just we could talk all day on that.
Second row.
Coach Trevor Gross, CUTigers.com. This is your seventh time here in Charlotte. Well, I guess one was down in Orlando, but
and Tampa.
Right.
It was in Tampa.
Tampa, that's
first
right.
one, and then the other one was in Orlando.
They've all been primetime games for you. Just curious what your routine is like tomorrow. Do you try to watch some of the other championship games?
Oh yeah, no different than any other game day. I mean, like I said, we have a routine. We have a night game routine. We have a 3:30 routine. We have a noon game routine, and we don't really change that up regardless of who we play. I mean, we could be playing in the national championship. We still have a routine. What we do on Monday, what we do on Tuesday, that doesn't change regardless of who we play or where we play or the magnitude of the game. We just stay focused on what we do and how we do it each week.
Front row to your left, Coach.
Coach, you mentioned that the biggest progress that Trevor has made this season has been with his legs. Was that very intentional with you and the
Yep.
staff with him during the offseason, and how much more difficult does that make you to defend?
Well, yes, very intentional. Every coach, we self-scout, we evaluate, we break ourselves down, and we try to chart a plan to go into spring ball and what you want to do to get better, and then you come out of spring and you kind of give the guys individually charge on what they need to do for the summer. And the biggest thing with Trevor from last year, first of all, he needed to get bigger. He obviously played as a freshman, so he didn't get the opportunity to really grind in the weight room like he needed to, and he did. I mean, he's somewhere between 218, 220. So he put on some really good weight. He got a lot stronger, upper body and lower body. So that was the first challenge to him. The second thing was, okay, it's time for you to assert yourself as the leader. Last year he was just in line trying to, go win a job and prove himself, and different deal going into the spring last year on what we needed from him from a leadership standpoint. And but then the other thing in really studying him, I mean, he's so gifted. His arm talent is unbelievable. His mind, his mental capacity and ability to process things and how he thinks is off the charts. But one of the things that jumped out at us last year was he took a couple sacks that he shouldn't have taken, and then there was numerous times where, say it's 3rd and 10. And people are playing coverage, and he's so confident in his arm. He'd sit in there, and he's waiting to just rip it into that lens right there because he believes he can do that, and he believes in his receivers that much. Well, or it's 2nd and 10, so now it becomes 3rd and 10, and we needed him to on some of those plays to take those 5 yards with his legs, and let's make it 3rd and 5. So be a little more efficient with his legs. And we needed him to create a little more, extend some plays, because some of our biggest explosives have come off of plays where he's extended and managed the pocket well, and then gotten outside the pocket and created scramble drills and things like that. And so he's just done an unbelievable job. And then we wanted to be a little more purposeful in running him. And so I just think that what has transpired this year, it's made us so much more tougher to defend because he's as confident now in his legs as he is in his arm, and that's made him dangerous. You can even just look at last week. I mean, first, 3rd and long, he ran for 15, 20 yards. They played coverage, and last year he'd sit in there and he'd try to make a tight throw, and now he's just very confident in running the ball, and whether it's design run or scramble, he just has a good feel for it, and so that's been the biggest growth in him, and then obviously his strength and his leadership and just his knowledge and experience from last year. I mean, those are all huge areas that he's grown in, but his legs have been the difference, and I think if you talk to coaches about who study us and break him down, they all see the arm talent, but it's just frustrating when you see this guy run because he can move. I know he looks, like Ichabod Crane, big, long, gangly guy running down there, but this guy can move, man. He can run. He really can.
Second row.
Josh Needleman, Post and Courier. Dabo, you said earlier that you've made decisions over the years, not for the team but for the program. What is that distinction like exactly, and what are some examples of those types of decisions that you've made?
Well, I've never signed a junior college player in 11 years as a head coach, and there's nothing wrong with that. For me, and having the culture that I wanted to have, I just wanted to try to focus on getting guys out of high school and developing them. And, so that's just kind of been an intentional thing for us. And then discipline, how you discipline your team, how you respond. There's been some moments where I've had to make some discipline decisions that weren't necessarily the best for that team or that moment, but they were best for the long term of our program. So just, lots of things, staff, et cetera, going on.
Front row to our left.
Dabo, as a fellow coach, Do you have an appreciation for what Bronco's been able to do, bringing the staff clear across the country, no roots or ties to the East Coast, and taking over a program that hadn't won in forever, and being here in only 4 years?
Yeah, unbelievable appreciation for that. I mean, it's so hard to win. I mean, it really is. It's so hard to win. And, you know, he came in with a very clear plan. And, I mean, just he wasn't afraid to lose. He wasn't afraid to fail. I mean, he knew what he wanted to do. He had a very clear vision of what he wanted, and he was able to articulate that and then build it and create that mindset and that belief and get the right people in place and put the work in. And he's done it step by step. And I think whatever failure they've had along the way has been great for them. It's helped them. And I'm sure he would tell you the same thing. But I have an unbelievable appreciation for what he's done and how hard it is to do that. You know, and especially nowadays, I mean, I have appreciation for who they are at Virginia, too, and who their administration is, because now they'll fire you after 2 years. You don't even get some people you don't get a year and a half. I mean, you can take over a dumpster fire, and you're supposed to wave a wand, they'll fire you in 2 years. So I have a great appreciation for the people of Virginia too. They didn't win many his first year. How many did they win the second year?
6.
Okay, you know, I mean, you win 8 games in 2 years. A lot of people won't hang on to you. But I think you give them a great appreciation for their administration too, because I think they believed in him and they supported him. And I'm sure there was criticism and whatever when you win 6 games in your first 2 seasons. But to see they made momentum last year and win their bowl game, and it's just great. I mean, he's been just steadily building it, and he's done it the right way. And I'm sure he's had to make some difficult decisions along the way that were best for his program. Maybe weren't best for the team, but you know, that's what it takes. And I'm really happy for Virginia, and I'm really happy for Bronco for the season that they've had, and have great respect for who they are, their team, and how we're going to have to play to have a chance to win the game.
Last question, second row to the left.
Will Vandervoort, Clemson Insider. Dabo, back in 2011 was your first time. Can you describe what that feeling was like for you then, and playing for your first championship, winning your first championship, I should say, and then comparing it to what maybe Bronco and his guys are going to kind of go through tomorrow night as they try to get ready to do something they haven't done in a long time?
Yeah, it was amazing. It really was. And my first year in 2009, you know, we won the division and got to go down to Tampa and play. And that was a tough night, you know, because, I mean, neither team punted. It's the only game I've ever been a part of where not one team punted. We couldn't stop them. They couldn't stop us. And we lose down there. And that was a tough night because it cost us a chance in the Orange Bowl. And you know, my first year, I'm like, we're going to win the ACC, and this is going to be the greatest thing ever. And we got beat. And then in 10, we didn't have a great season my second year. And then to come back in 11 and to be able to win 10 games, to win the league, beat a top 10 Virginia Tech it was amazing. It really was. Especially, you know, again, it had been, I guess, 20 years at that time since Clemson had won a ACC championship. So it was a magical moment. I was just talking to Eric McLean about it the earlier today out on the field. I mean, it was a special moment to celebrate with our team. We got back that night, and there were probably 5,000 fans out there waiting on us. I mean, it was just there was this hunger. And, you know, and we didn't play well in the bowl game that year, but I didn't let that distract us from what we had accomplished. I mean, we had accomplished some landmark things, 10 wins and winning the ACC in just our third year and playing for it for the second time. So it was and having lost in Tampa to get there and win was really, really special. It was a special moment, something I'll never forget. In fact, I showed video of that to our team before I came up here. You know, I just think it's always good to remember how you got here.
Thank you, Coach.